history. Picture this. Darkness swallows your vision. You can hear your heart pounding like it was trying to escape your chest. Fear overtakes all of your senses. You see the dark silhouette of a figure standing in the doorway. It appears he's looking at you. You sit helplessly as he walks towards you. You grab a handful of popcorn as you watch the movie and screams fill the theater. But what actually is horror? Horror is a genre of film designed to scare and disturb its viewers in a safe environment. Horror is an incredibly profitable genre. In 2017, the horror genre made over $1 billion in the US alone. We couldn't possibly talk about horror without talking about where it all began, with the first ever horror movie. The first ever horror movie was called Le Manoir du Diable, or The House of the Devil. It was about two men who enter the devil's house, and the devil plays tricks on them. This film was made in 1896 by George Méliès, but the cast was unknown because cast wasn't credited back then. This film was made in France, and they filmed it in the director's front yard with hand-painted sets. This movie was incredibly influential in starting up the horror genre, influencing a whole bunch of other people to make movies. Horror is a genre that's constantly changing, and there are many movies that have found things that people have liked, and they've taken that, and more people have copied it. Here are a few examples. The first movie is Halloween, which was one of the very first slasher films, and it made the subgenre profitable and sort of set the formula. The second movie is Night of the Living Dead, which is a zombie movie. It sort of started zombies as a subgenre, which became very popular, and a lot of people decided to jump on that. Our third movie is Scream, which is self-aware, and it sort of started that sort of trope, self-aware movies that poke fun at horror, and it also brought back slasher after it had been dead for a while. Next, we have Blair Witch Project, which is a found footage movie, which is movies that are supposed to look like real footage. And they went all out with it. They had a viral marketing campaign with fake police reports and other stuff to try to further the illusion that this was actually a real event. It was also a super low budget movie, $60,000, which is like super low for movies. Horror movies usually cost about $1.2 million. Lastly, we have The Exorcist, which introduced the demonic possession subgenre, and again also made that profitable. And we can't talk about horror without talking about some of its tropes, which my favorite is the final girl trope. But what is a final girl? A final girl is a girl who has survived until the very end of the horror movie against all odds, while other characters have not. This girl can either fight or escape, and usually you see her being more polite and not partying and getting distracted like other girls can. But these girls can also be super courageous when the time comes. This term came from Carol J. Clover in her book, Men, Women, and Chainsaws, Gender in the Modern Horror Film. And, of course, we need a few examples. And starting with Sidney Prescott, who's from Scream, and she fights Ghostface, and she has been the final girl for the entire franchise, which, 5 movies. Next, from Halloween, Laurie Strode, she fights Michael Myers, and she's one of the most well-known final girls, being in 9 movies. And then, lastly, Nancy Thompson, who's from Nightmare on Elm Street, and she fights Freddy Krueger. Nancy is very resourceful, which is a very good thing that she has. She's very clever, and she sets up traps to help defeat Freddy. Horror is a genre that's incredibly profitable and popular because of how it helps people face their fears in a safe environment. Horror tropes have had many impacts on genres other than just horror, and it's constantly changing with many movies influencing it, with it all changing. Given the development of the genre, could you possibly imagine what horror might look like in 20 years? Thank you.